Good evening and welcome to round one of the AK Gaming Supercar Championship from the streets of Adelaide. Now, usually I'd be a little bit more prepared coming into a broadcast, but has been a bit of a late minute call up, so I do apologise. I'll be missing a couple graphics here and there, but we should have a nice couple of races up ahead here in Assetto Corsa, of course, with the new and improved version of V8 Corsa. But drivers now in their driver's briefing, so might as well go over and bring up the track info for tonight. So as you can see, round one of the season here at Adelaide, South Australia, 3.219 kilometres, 14 turns, and tonight there will be a combined 250 kilometres. With two races this evening, with the second race being reverse grid, both races being 37 laps. So should be a cracker, and as we've seen in the past here at what was formerly AK Racing and now AK Gaming, the second races with the reverse grid can be quite chaotic with some really good racing. So hopefully tonight once again delivers. But yeah, just at the moment, drivers still going through. It looks like the briefing may have ended. Do have some drivers going out onto the circuit, so just bear with us for a moment. But where are we? No, that's the right button. There we go. And unlike last time out there, where custom liveries weren't allowed, it was all using the V8 Corsa liveries which were supplied, albeit with changed numbers and windows. We do have some custom liveries this time around. There's some good ones, some alright ones, and some ones that, well, probably should have had a little bit of extra time put into them. But for the most part, some pretty good liveries out there. And of course, from the last time of broadcast here at AK Racing, plenty of new drivers as well. But, let's see one of the newer drivers. Out there at the moment in his machine. I don't have team names unfortunately on hand, so I apologise for those watching back. So I will be trying to refer drivers, pardon me, with their driver name to cars. And unfortunately, that on your screen you will see due to some of the apps being forced on if you don't have a hidden grid from the server. So you will see when the cars do drive past the mid straight that the Heli Corsa radar will come up on the screen. Another thing of note as well, I do apologise, I do have a little bit of a cough at the moment, so there will be a couple of moments throughout the broadcast where I may be muted. As I'm having a few coughs, as the cars in the background of Mustang has a massive accident at turn 8, and well, in real life there would be an accident like that in hospital, and that car would be written off. So I think that some fans will walk away with some nice carbon fibre bits as well. But as you can see on the screen, Munro 1:21.7 currently topping the timesheet, with Cotter in second, with Reed, well, the smallest of margins right behind him, so top three fairly close, and looks like someone else just dropped out there, but let's thought that maybe dropped out, so he has returned. So just awaiting the server to tick over to qualifying. Yeah, unfortunately don't have too much filler to go on here, the lead up here. So, see, not only is there custom liveries, but as you can see in the back of the Supercheap car, that with Nichols, that there is some real life liveries mixed in as well. boys. Looks like we have ticked over to qualifying. And a lot of cars leaving the pits, but it's Munro first man out. It's a very, very quick hot lapper. Cover this series just a couple seasons ago, and in season 3, come on strong, the back end of that season. Did struggle a little bit in the races with consistency and some strategy every now and again, but you put him in these one-lap dashes here in qualifying, and he can certainly put together a hot lap, and he will be the first man out. So we'll stick with him, and we'll jump on board as well a lap around this Adelaide street circuit. So just over the right shoulder. Munro here, and I think he's just gonna send it to the first chicane. Very easy to pick up a track cut here, just through there nicely. I want to understeer into the wall, the exit of turn 3. Easy enough to do in these cars. Turn 4, you've got to get the nose in, watch the wall on the left on the exit. Turn 5 again, watch the wall on the exit. Use the curb on the outside as a little bit of a berm to get you over. Get too greedy, trying to carry too much speed to 6. Turn 7, use all the curb in the long run to turn 8, the infamous turn 8. Carried with a lot of speed through there, and then the hairpin him. That turn number 9 gets the nose in. All kinds of sideways on the exit. So it's been a nice lap so far. It uses a little bit of curve here, but it's just got the wall on the exit there. Real life you'd probably get away with it, but in video game land, all these tyre bundles are solid. Now, the final corner, turn 14 for Munro. He'll be the first man to set a representative lap time here in qualifying, and it is a 23.4, so not near his fastest times from practice, which was a 21, but still quite handy indeed. And now we've got Meredith and Cotter setting in time 23.5 and a 23.9. Autumn here in the trying to remember which year, the old FPR livery on this Mustang. I think it was 2011 or 2012. I'm sure I'll have someone abusing me in the chat saying no, it was this year, but or whichever year it was, but I do apologise. But it's not a bad livery. Although I think the yellow down the grill just a little bit too much there, just a little bit too much yellow, but still a nice livery on that car. And I've had Thornton now go to the top in one of my favourite liveries that I've seen so far in this series. Thornton in the Repsol BF Commodore, just being held up there by the mellow yellow Falcon, which is a bit of blasphemy really, putting a GM livery from Days of Thunder onto a Ford, but some people do like to troll a little bit there, which is the case. And Munro this time 21.7, so he's not messing around on his second lap. So it looks like it takes the tyres just a couple laps to come in here at Adelaide. And Cotter, pardon me, also improves on a 23.0. Sit on the pit straight here and just see all these drivers as scroll through and do their time. So the other Munro has now put himself P3. Nicholas set a time 25.1. Walter also a 25.1, so that midfield's looking very, very close. Jasana 24-7. Keen with a 25-5. And Starrett with a 24-6. Across the line, Ferguson sets her first time of a 26-0. Spinoz with a 32-3, so he'll be looking to improve on that one. But a lot of cars in this one. 28 drivers in the server. And the race director and of course broadcaster as Sprinsos jumps up and Hum jumps up to P8. He was a Super 2 driver last time miles around. It's good to see him make the jump into the main series and in P8 at the moment. One of the contenders for the championship, of course, when I was streaming last time, was Matt Cotter. Had a very strong second half of the season. Couldn't quite reel in the early deficit, but certainly put up a fight. And ended up finishing with the, I think it's top 4, maybe top 3 in the standings at the time. It's very, very wide there. Instead of turn 6. Using all the road. You don't want to use a little bit extra though, because you'll find yourself in a fence and just swerving down the straight. Looks like a number of the drivers trying to get heat into their tyres. Perhaps a little bit of a quirk with the updated V8 course of physics. Haven't taken them around the new Bathurst that was released, that was converted from ACC. Got to say that yeah, the tyres do need a little bit of work, because they certainly should heat up a little bit more and keep some kind of temperature. So that's why you may see drivers here in qualifying just swerving around just to get some heat as thought. Now 22.4 gets a bit closer to Munro in P1. What can Cotter do here on this lap? Has done a little bit of tyre warming. And he doesn't improve. In fact, may have picked up a track cut there because his climbing has continued. French now into P9 with a 23.8. What can he do? The older spec there. Oh, he's in the fence. In the fence at turn 8. And Starrett now up into P8. Spinoz now also up into P8, shuffling Starrett and Hum down. So most drivers now have set a representative lap time. Only Dowd and Delaney yet to set a time, so here we go. Another one of the FPR liveries as Cotter goes to P2 with a 22.2, and Dowd now setting his representative lap time, only 9/10 away from Munro. Jump on board Mr. Delaney here in Ford Mustang, and Reed improves again, and he's now up into P3. Munro doesn't seem to be able to be catched here, but there's a fierce battle right behind him. As Guttison now goes into P9. Ferguson sets a time that gets him into P21. And now Hill up into P7. Still 10.5 minutes left here in qualifying for race 1. 2 races this evening, just a reminder. With the second race being reverse grid. And Rath now 24. Scarciotto 17. We've had a number of drivers now jump up with Blank. You're going to have to find out who that is at some point. Delaney's first representative lap time was him 10th, but he's been balked a little bit by one of the ZB Commodores leaving the pits there, so it will cost him a little bit of time. got, I think that's Thornton, I think just down the road. No, it's his teammate. It's out there in the gravel trap there. The exit, the first chicane. Bit of passing going on in the last corner there. Gutterson now up into P6. So the 38 car in the boonies and in the fence at the final corner there. I was just trying to flick over to my other screen here, but it's giving me some problems. Only just under 6/10 away. AC's time not being helpful there. I'm not sure if he's on an out lap or an in lap. Got a bit of traffic in front of him though. It's all the tarmac he can use there on the entry to the final corner. And he improves on 1:22.0, so he's getting close to Munro there. Oh, a bit of contact. That's an Old Spice car and a Superflow car there in the gravel there. And looks like Thornton now getting out of it. And there's Cortum, that will be his teammate there, Delaney, coming around through the chicane. And there it is, yeah, being corrected on the FPR liveries 2011. So thanks, Luke Rosella in the chat, 2011, and you can get stuff, champ. But congratulations on your recent iRacing victory in one of the Bathurst 1000 splits though. Good to see you on board this evening. Delaney to do on this lap here. A little bit more clear air this time. He's on the back end of the lap. We expect him to find a little bit of extra time. Cars off there. There's a Superflow car off, and in fact it is Richards that is the blank car on your screen. Teammate to Thornton, who's in P2, so it's all the start for the Repsol Racing crew. As Cicluna jumps up into P8, so it's another one I believe that a couple of seasons ago it was running around in Super 2. And it's doing a really good job in the Enduros when they jumped in. Now finds himself here in the main game and in the top 10. Now, so Simon was another one I did see in practice that was a little bit, well, quite a bit higher than what he is here in 20 seconds, so perhaps he's had a little bit of traffic. He's got 5 minutes to set a lap, so time is starting to tick away, and he is going to have to get a bit of a move on here. You see it glances the wall, the exit of turn 6. Nichols crosses the line with a 24.229. And Hum now up into P6 on a 22.6. Once again, got a few tiers of drivers at the moment with Munro, at least in qualifying trim. Seems to be untouchable. No one else quite in the 21s just yet. But Thornton, Cotter, Reed, Roudis, which is Dowd, and Hum, Cortum, Guttison, and Segura all fairly close together. As is Richards, Munro, Scassietto. Really after that, all the way down to French and Starrett. Fairly close together with only small gaps of about a tenth of a second. So we could see quite a lot of changes here in the final 4 minutes. Susano there, 24.0. So ideal lap. But I would expect him to find a couple of places here in the dying minutes. As you can see, just drivers here, the lead up to turn 8, just warming their tyres, as well as getting out of the way, those that are on out laps. Bit of a lull here. Looks like the drivers are gearing up for another run, and there we go. There's the second man into the 21. Thornton improves, but still a tick over 2 tenths away from Munro in P1. And Delaney now jumps up and sets a 22.5, so that's more like it from the FPR crew. A lap. There's another one of the quicker drivers a couple of seasons ago, so we're right on board. Let's see how Reed tackles. Big slide at turn 4. He's able to hold it right out sideways. It's very flamboyant, but certainly not good for the lap time. There he is, 5 tenths down at the first split for Reed. So that's, well, actually no, that just counts his. That goes off the leader's time regardless. So regardless of what he sets in the next sector, pretty much. So that's just one of the quirks of AC, is that the timing isn't always entirely accurate. Oh, it is hit the curb on the entry to 8 and hit the wall on the outside. Not ideal. It's in the fence. As Spinell's now into the top 10 on a 22.8. Mid to high 22s. A lot of drivers in that range. And Thornton has improved to be, well, he's half a tenth away. Looks like he's going to try and go again. He's had to leave the pits in a haste there, as is his teammate. So we could still see late change for pole position. Monroe currently on a lap. Bit of traffic up in front of him, as looks like drivers starting to, or trying to sort out gaps for themselves. In fact, Munro himself now starting to slow down and try and leave himself with some space, as Walter improves to a 23.5. Less than a minute to go. Thornton, in fact, has gone back to the pit, so he will not improve. Munro is looking to protect his pole position. Can he do on this lap? No, he's not happy. He's gone straight back to the pits. We'll jump over to Reed and see what he can manage to pull out of the bag right at the death. As Delaney jumps up into P3, he'll get another lap in if he's got the fuel in the tank. Reed, though, he's going to be, I think he may be just short here. So this will be his final lap. And to the line Reed goes, and he does improve, and demotes Cotter to P5, and moves himself up into P4. And Delaney, what can he do? Well, in the first split, less than a tenth away from Munro. So we'll see how he goes. Risk and reward there at turn 8. Very easy to end up in the fence there. Now the hairpin, a little bit of a lock up for Delaney. A tenth away here. If you can keep it together in the final sector, it'll be a lot closer to Thornton and Munro, but it won't quite be enough. He's going to have to find a little bit of extra time here. On the grass, that's not ideal. The final 2 corners, what can he manage? A lot of the curb at the final corner. Doesn't use all the tarmac before the hairpin. Out of the final corner, right out sideways and to the line. And he improves to a 21.9, or 8 actually, but not enough to move up. But still a fair effort in the end. And now we've got Meredith here on a lap. Can he improve from P18? No, he can't. And he was the last man out on the circuit. So that is qualifying done and dusted here from Adelaide for race 1. So I've got a couple minutes to go until race 1 which is set by the grid. There is 2 races this evening, and the second race will be set by reverse grid. Looks like Munro has just left the server, so he hopefully should get back in time for race 1. But just to run you through the grid, Munro with pole position with a 1 minute 21.744. Then we have Thornton in P2 on a 1:21.801. Delaney right behind him on a 21.897. Those 3 the class of the field. And then we had a 4/10 difference between Delaney and Reed, then Cotter, Rowdus, Cortum, Guttison and Spinoz rounding out the top 10. Cicluna in P11 in the Mustang, Richards in 12th. The other Munro, I can't remember his first name and it's just abbreviated, so I do apologise. He qualified 13th. Scarcetto in one of the other Mustangs in 14th. Hill in 15th. Ferguson 16th. Followed by Webster and Meredith, with Walter and French rounding out the top 20. And over the page, Starrett in 21st. Keane, the 23.8, qualified 22nd. Susanna wasn't able to improve, 24.0 for him. Nichols in 24th. Raff in 25th, followed by Poole, Niporus and Strinsos rounding out the field with a 1:26.3, but would expect him in the races to find a little bit of extra time. But well, the countdown is on. 4 minutes to go. Has ticked over to the race session. Drivers just getting their final drinks, adjustments for their final adjustments for their setups, adjusting their fuel, and it's going to be a very interesting race 1 here for the AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship here from the streets of Adelaide. And big question mark will be, can Munro get away from pole position and claim the opening win of the season? And we do have a number of older car models in this field. So we've got the VF as well as the ZB Commodores. Also have the old Ford FGX model as well as the Ford Mustang, of course, and of course the Nissan Altima also in the field. But there's only one version of that car, but it is in here. So lots of models, lots of colours with this grid too. And it's going to be very, very intriguing opening race here. But yeah, still just a couple minutes away. I'll just take a short break, gather myself, but we'll be back in a minute or so's time. Alright, only moments away here, less than a minute to go for the opening round of the V8 Gaming Supercar Championship from Adelaide. Drivers will be keen to get going, but you don't want to be too keen at the first chicane here at Adelaide. We see some big crashes over the year through the chicane, after the chicane, and of course later on in the lap as well. So lots of wall chicanes and of course other moving chicanes and drivers to deal with around this circuit, but moments away here from a start here at Adelaide. And the lights are on. Five lights. Away we go from Adelaide for season 5, I believe. And it looks like a decent start from Munro. And he will lead into turn number 1 here at Adelaide, but around the outside, he's going to try and hold on in the Repsol car. Can't quite do it. But Munro leads. Thornton up into, well, holds on to second in the end. Delaney holds on to third. And all happening here at the start. 3 to 4 wide back at turn 4. And in the fence is the 92 car. Disaster. Munro leads away. It's exactly what he wanted at the start of this one. It's still a long way to go. Lap 1, or halfway through lap 1 here of 37, with a pit stop required by all drivers. To turn 8 they come. Looks like they all got their through there fairly safely on their hairpin. Looks like a few moves going down here at the back of the field. So already a few groups forming. Pack forming behind Hum here. Spinos trying to go around the outside. And then you've got Guttison defensive with Cicluna lurking as well. And that's one of the 4X cars around. Disaster. I think that it's Munro then. It's been contact with, who is that? Oh, more contact there. Looks like there's contact with Starrett. And at the same time, got Raff trying to make a move as well. Got Walter in the pits already in the Superflow entry. All happening here at the start towards the back end of the field. And Guttison, and Spinos side by side there. Spinos getting the position in the end. So hot and heavy in the midfield is Munro. First representative lap time, 23.1. Just a couple of ticks faster than those around him or behind him. Backwards from the Hummermobile. A bit defensive there into turn 5. It's going to compromise his exit a little bit. Spinos may have a look. No, once again, defensive. So with Guttison looking to make a move on Spinos as well. So Spinos wants to get a move on here. He doesn't want to get overtaken himself. Spinos again having a look up the inside at the hairpin, not quite close enough. Just trying to distract Hum into a mistake, but there is a bit of a train starting to form behind him. So they've got 8th place all the way down to 16th. Very closely packed together. So Munro now into the 22s. And big dive there from Guttison on Spinos, and he gets the job done. So we've got Richards has disposed, or trying to dispose of Spinos as well, and he has done so. Now it's Guttison's turn to put the pressure on. Going over the curves at turn 3 isn't going to help his cause there. It looks like he's having to go a bit defensive there. It's all happening here in midfield. Just right outside race there, a bit too much curve, and he's lost out there to Meredith. And doesn't watch himself, so he might lose himself another place or two here. Train indeed. And further back, looks like we've got Starrett heading another train as well, a little bit further back here. He's got another Munro right behind him. He's having a look, making a dive, and a little bit further back looks like another move and a lock up for Starrett. He's very wide at the hairpin. And Munro says, thank you very much. That said, Starrett not giving up on another fastest lap for Munro in the meantime. Oh, and he's forced Munro into the fence there, so he hasn't given space. And I don't think Munro's going to be too pleased with that one, that's for sure, because that, I would imagine, would be a bit of damage on that Nissan hitting the wall like that. So also got Nichols and ran side by side down the pit straight. Sounds like someone's just left the pits as well. So back up at the front though, Munro and Thornton have stretched away from Delaney, though it looks like on this lap, looks like Munro's lost a bit of time because he had stretched that gap out just a little bit. But Thornton has brought it back. Delaney falling into the clutches of Reed. I think he's lost a bit of time on this lap as well. His last lap at 23.2. It's about half a second slower than Munro in the lead. Looks like on the back end of this lap, Munro's actually found a little bit of extra time on Thornton. That said, Thornton quite quick through these last couple of corners and maybe brought that gap down a little bit. But he's not letting Munro get away in the Nissan Altima. They are just stretching away. Thornton 22.7 on that lap, so impressive from him. Delaney personal best as well. As they smash the curbs at the first chicane. So further back, it's got 3 wide at the hairpin. Richards looking to get a move done at the chicane. Cicluna trying to hold on around the outside chicane. He's cut the chicane to hold onto that position, but he'll argue that he had no room on the inside and had to take evading action there. And looks like that is Scasieto looking to make a move on French. A bit further up the road though, Guttison looks like he's slowly closing up to the back of Cortum. 1.5 seconds away. Scott Hum second away. And then about 7/10 away is Spinoz. As Meredith is showing the nose to Cicluna in front of him. Just trying to distract the driver in front. Very wide there on the exit. You don't want to hit that wall there. He's solid, unlike in real life, he can sort of drive through it. And we've got Rath around at turn 8, and he spun right in front of Nippris there. And Nippris might have a bit of damage, but that was not a very safe rejoin there. Just gassing it up at the exit of turn 8. He should have just waited until the rest of the field had gone through. But eager to get going, and he's lucky that only just a minor scrub with Nippris, who's slowed down there. Looks like he's got some major damage on that thing, and he's going to have to, well, he's trundling back to the pits, and he's going to have to repair Moment 1 Commodore. So shame for Nippers, who's just an innocent bystander there. But big damage to the ZB Commodore. Back in the midfield here. Spinos has got by Hum now. He's not really getting away. These guys are all fairly close together. Scarciero looks like he's looking to set up a move Merith at some point. There's a big dive there from Cicluna at the final corner. He's actually got that done. Claudius, from that previous camera view from Scarciero, I thought he was going to run wide on the exit there, but he's done a good job to pull the Mustang up. And Jesus Christ, there's a lot of colour on that car with the pink / magenta, yellows and oranges. He locks up into turn 4, and then was blue on the back. A little bit further back, Nichols has just got by King, and Starrett now looking to get by King in the black and green to be. Starrett very late, very good on the under braking, made up a lot of time there. Looks like he dropped a bit of time to Keane in front, but he made it all back under braking. The turn 9 hairpin, the slide on the exit there. Going to help his cause, still hanging around. A big dive at the final corner, and he's had to take avoiding action. He was a bit too keen there. And he would have smacked it to the side of Nichols in the Super Cheap Auto Mustang there, but realised it was going to hit him and just got off the brake and turned to the apex of the corner to avoid contact. So thankfully all drivers able to get through that without any major kind of contact, as Ferguson gets it right out sideways on the exit of turn 3. He's got Webster in tow. So got Quartum now coming under pressure from Gunnison in P8. Gunnison looking to get the move done as soon as he is caught up to the back of the Mustang. And they're going to go side by side around the hairpin. Quartum will have the inside for the next 2 turns. And turn 11 there. And he holds on, although you may see Gunnison try and set it up the inside. He's going to try it on the grass, locks the brakes. Quartum holds on around the outside. They all live to fight another day, and they're going to be side by side once again into the first chicane. Quartum with a nose in front. Oh, a bit of contact. Quartum made his way in front of him, and that's big contact with the wall for Gunnison. And he won't be too pleased with that one, that's for sure. Quartum thinking he was clear, but he certainly wasn't. Disaster for Gunnison, and that's dropped him down to 12th place. Doesn't look like he's got significant damage, but I would imagine he would have some on that FGX Falcon. And Quartum now, he did drop a place, lost a spot to Spinoz, and now he's coming under pressure from Cicluna in 9th place. But between Spinoz and Roud, it's quite a big gap, as you can see. 7 seconds, and then 9-second gap between Roudus and Cottas. So Roudus all on his own, and 27 laps to go. Still have pit stops in play for these drivers as well. got it. Just making up a little bit of time on Reed on that last lap there. Just looking to close the gap. At the front though, Honda has just edged away at 1.7 seconds. We've had Delaney though. He's been the man on the move on that last lap. Making up just 3/10 faster than Thornton and 4/10 faster than our race leader, who's had a 23.5 compared to Delaney's 23.1. And he's had a scruffy first sector here, but Delaney had caught up to the back of Thornton. Now Secluna now getting by Corson from P8. Corson, perhaps his tyres just hurting a little bit at this stage of the race, but he's still going to try and get to at least the halfway mark, ideally. Otherwise, he's going to have to drive on tyres that are pretty second-hand in the second half of the race. Oh, and that's a big off at the back there. Who is that? That's Gutterson. I thought for sure he's going to end up on the wall on both sides, but he's managed to hold on to it and live to fight another day. As Meredith up the inside of Richards. A little bit of contact on the exit, but both live to fight another day there. Meredith again showing the nose. Just to get a move on here. And a slide from Richards on the exit, not helping his cause at all. Defensive the final corner. Meredith's going to try and go around the outside, but he's not going to get that job done. As he lights up the rears on the exit. To say it's good to see an HRT livery out there. Old Mark Scaife fan club. Hopefully he gets that thing right out sideways at some point. Back in this battle for P7, Spinoz at the head of it. Hasn't really broken away from Secluna, who's got by Corsom, and Corsom looks like he's just regained his composure a little bit, and he's just holding on now. And Spinoz a bit defensive into the hairpin. Secluna going to try and go up and under. Nose in there, Spinoz just missed the apex a little bit, so it's encouraging signs for Secluna. Showing the nose at the final corner, trying to distract Spinoz into a mistake. Hasn't had an ideal exit though, and it's coming under a bit of pressure from Cortum now. Talked up Delaney just moments ago. It looks like he's made a hash of the last couple of laps, particularly the last one, a 25.0 on that last lap for Delaney. He's fallen into the clutches of Reed. He's now 5.8 seconds off the lead. You can see in the top left there, and he was right behind Thornton. So yeah, not ideal, perhaps a bit of traffic or just over-driving the car just a little bit, but Cortum now has dropped off the back of Secluna, and I think he's running a little bit more from Scarcietto, as Gutterson in behind as well. So it looks like Starrett has yeah, he's had an off somewhere. Just trying to zoom out, try and find where that is. That's the entry of turn 4. No, only way you can do that, I can imagine, is with a bit of help. But that's something we'll have to find out after the weekend concludes. Delaney, cut to Delaney because he's coming under attack from Reed and he's lost out, and if he doesn't look out he's going to have Cotter try and get around him as well. And Cotter's going to try the outside here. Isn't really going to get the job done there. Delaney holds on for now, but and we've got Cortum with the drive-through, as you can see on the screen there. Too many cuts for Cortum. Drop him well down the field. Ford Performance Racing crew. From bad to worse in the last minute. Drive-through penalty for Courtsham, and Delaney losing out positions there. It looks like Starrett is had another little bit of an adventure on the exit of the hairpin there, so his rear tyres might be a little bit cooked. And Delaney into the pit, so early pit stop. Looks like he's going to try and sort out his tyres, but that pit entry, that's going to cost him. And, well, that's a free kick for Cotter for sure. Big mistake. Looked like it was a last second decision to pull into the pits. Wasn't able to pull the car up in time. Also got Gutterson into the pit, so he was in this little battle pack here. He just wants to get a bit of clear air and set some good lap times while in space. Fordham has actually come out, or sorry, Delaney has come out just behind his teammates, so pit stop very quick around here. And the pit lane speed limit is actually 80 km/h, so it isn't going to be traditional speeds that you'd expect from a supercar race. And pit stop speeds do seem to be a little bit quick as well, so that's why he was in and out in a flash. But unfortunately for him, with that mistake, he's come out, as you can see, in this big battle pack. If he hadn't made that mistake, he probably would have come out just in front of him. And he'd have some nice clear air to deal with, but he's going to have to do it the hard way. And his teammate, he's going to have to come in and serve a drive for him, so he'll, I'd assume, get that cleared in the next lap or two, which will help him to some degree, but he still has Secluna and Spinos just down the road that he will, I would assume, catch up to in a lap or two's time. And there he is, Courtsham into the pits, showing his teammate that is how you enter the pits with without, you know, parking it on the red concrete. And oh, there's another car. That's Meredith has done the same thing, and he's reversed back onto the racing line. Again, he's lucky there's no other cars coming. But drivers haven't practiced their pit entry, and or perhaps just come in very hastily, and it's cost them dearly here. It's who's out in the background running very wide. I think that was Ferguson there running very wide. He's got Hill in the mellow yellow machine in the pits. It looks like his teammate is out of the race, unfortunately. Right, a little bit further back, we've got Spinos and Secluna still continuing their battle. Spinos just missed the apex a little bit, so he's lost a little bit of time. Secluna showing the nose, he's deep under brakes. Spinos just moving to the middle of the road there. And Secluna going around the outside and very close to the wall. They've even grazed it there. It's sort of turn number 9. Spinos in the pit, so he doesn't want to get undercut here. It'll be interesting to see what Secluna can do, but he's now under threat from behind. Delaney might be smart for Secluna just to let him go here. So Delaney on a brand new set of tyres and has been the faster driver in qualifying and the race. He's racing a different race, and if he does battle him here, it will cost him later on. Like Starrett just in front, letting these guys go. That's Stritsos as well, so that actually was all position. They're going to have to watch it because they've got some leaders coming up behind them. Delaney's had a decent exit out of turn 7. They're going to go side by side, just like the cars in front of you. I don't advise this. There's actually rules in place in supercars in the area side by side through this corner. Smartly, they've all backed out of it, but Delaney hasn't quite got the nose in. He's hit the wall on the exit. In real life, that would be day done as Stritsos tries to get out of the way. A little bit of a nudge there, I think, between the Mustang of Secluna and the ZB of Starrett there, but they all live to fight another day, and Starrett does manage to hold on to his position. But Delaney wanting to get this move done. It is costing him a lot of time to the cars that he's racing, and Sakuna now into the pits. So a bit awkward for both of them there. And so it looks like Starrett into the pit lane as well. Would have advised probably Sakuna just to let him go at the start of the lap. Would have lost less time out of all that, but in the heat of the moment it can be a little bit difficult to decide, you know, whether to let the guy behind you go or not. But actually to the pit straight, and as you can see, it's going to be very, very close between himself and Spinos, but he's not going to be able to get the job done. Yeah, I reckon that battling cost him that little bit there. So Sakuna wide, a little bit of lag, but I'm certain he would have hit the wall there as well. Now, the gap to look out for. Now, Delaney isn't going to end up in the lead once the pit stop sequence is over, but he will be battling Reed and Cotter as Reed himself enters into the pit lane. So he's gone to cover. Delaney's last lap was at 25, which was actually slower than the likes of Cotter and Thornton and co. So him battling has cost him dearly, and well, as well as his mistake on the way into pit lane. He's got Rowdus now into the pits as well. So that's Reed, and that is Delaney coming down the pit straight there. So that mistake there would have been a lot closer, and if he wasn't battling those guys because of that mistake, he may even have re-emerged out in front of Reed, certainly alongside, I'd say. The outlap will be crucial though for Reed. These tyres aren't up to temp or pressure. So Munro unfazed at the moment in the lead, constantly stretching away from everyone behind. There it is, our race leader in the pits at the halfway mark. Thornton though is going to keep going, and Cotter into the pits as well, so he doesn't want to get undercut here. And where will Reed emerge here? So the effective race leader, the BB Ultima, has just got away. And Reed and Cotter, it's going to be very, very close, but Reed will get the job done. Clear air on that lap at 23.0 for Delaney. And Portsmouth into the pits now to see where they emerge. Shouldn't near anybody, has to be said. And Guttison, after his pit stop sequence, so I believe he's pitted. He's got Sakuna and Hump right behind him. So he's actually jumped a couple of spots there, I think, in the pit stop sequence as race leader Thornton now enters into the pit lane. All these guys that did pit a little bit early, they're going to have to be wary at the end of the race as Munro retakes the lead. Now, where will Thornton end up here? Well, he's actually going to lose out a few spots here, so going longer is going to cost him. And he's going to end up down in P5, so he may have had a bit of traffic, may have made a mistake on his in-lap. But going long has cost him dearly. He was running in second. Now finds himself down in P5, and he's actually quite a ways off the back of Thornton, so he's going to want a safety car while all these guys in front to battle. So Richard's now into the pits. So we'll jump back to this nice battle between Guttison and Cicluna for P8. Hump not too far away. Let's get in the background there, the yellow Mustang. Turn 80 goes. Shame we didn't have a closer look. Driver's eyes even the tinted visor, because they would have been as big as saucepans, I'd imagine. Dinner plates. Turn 8. Shifting up there early, just so he doesn't break traction coming out of the final corner. All these guys now setting personal bests. So all in the low 23s. In fact, a lot of these guys actually faster than the leaders on that last lap. Leaders must be going through a bit of traffic. So these guys travelling along nicely though at the moment. Yeah. So that was Router, Spinos, Guttison and Cicluna all setting their personal best on that last lap. With both Guttison and Cicluna at 23.1s, which actually isn't that far off the fastest lap of the race, only 4 tenths away. So they're probably a bit disappointed they weren't able to manage that a little bit earlier on in the race. A bit closer to Delaney, Thornton and Cotter and co, but still, nice job from these guys so far. Been a poor lap for Cicluna on this one. He's dropped a little bit of time here. Made it all back under braking at the hairpin. He has missed the apex a little bit, so it will cost him. It's Cotter, he sits at 22.8, so he's flying along at the moment. To put Reed under a bit of pressure. So Cicluna looks a little bit more comfortable at the final corner. Spinos 23.4, another personal best for him. These guys still at the 23s, but not personal bests. A nice little battle pack here behind Keane as French and Munro exchange positions. Just down the road setting his personal best as well. Not there, looks like a bit of damage on the French car, that's why it's not quite in position, it's moving around a little bit, I'd assume. That's trying to put Munro under a bit of pressure. Munro trying to put Keane under a bit of pressure. Behind them, Webster, just a few seconds away. That's French wide, exit turn 4. Lives to fight another day. My favourite word of this evening. But he's lost out massively to Munro and Webster. Webster, the last man not to be lapped, and as you can see, not the next car down the line, but the big green VB machine started to close him down. In fact, the last lap of the race, fastest lap of the race for Munro. He's travelling along very, very nicely. Stretching away from Reed. And Cotter's actually dropped off the back. By a few seconds here, so he's made a mistake somewhere. Close here between Guttison and Cicluna. Cicluna not quite fast enough to get a move done. So we'll change the position a little bit further back here. Munro and French. drive-through penalty for French. So I'm guessing he's cut the chicane, and in the background there, that is Raff that's gone off the road and grazed the fence at turn 4. He's also had to let the leader go, so that puts him 2 laps down now. The last corner, big squiggle from Gutterson. Able to hold on though, bash their way through the first chicane, the centre chicane. So it's a little bit quicker than Secluna through that section. They're actually going to start to come under a bit of pressure from Hum now. Looks like he's starting to close in as Richards does his personal best on that last lap. Also had notice Spinos and Cotter do their personal best, as well as Poole down there and Richards. Very wide there from Guttison. May have lost a little bit of time. As French comes in, it looks like he's serving his drive-through. Very, very committed through turn 8. Guttison missed the apex, he's lost time and he's gone immediately defensive. No, he's not quite as good on the brakes, he's outbroken himself a little bit. And Secluna, well, he's just avoided the curb on the outside completely. He's going to have the inside for the next 2 corners. He's going to get the job done. I don't know if it's quite legal, but he's got the job done regardless. So it's outside the yellow lines there. I know some parts of the track, the yellow lines don't matter, but I would imagine that curb would be part of it. He has gained an advantage by going off the circuit there, but that's not for me to decide. That's for the stewards post-race. So Gutterson, he doesn't want to give this position up, that's for sure. And Hum is hoping these guys continue to battle. And we'll change position between Spinos and Routus. And battling it out at the moment as well. So a bit of action here with 11 laps to go. And side by side continues for Spinos and Routus. Routus happens to fall in line as they come up to turn 8 and smartly backs out of it. Spinos misses though, he misses the apex, knows it, goes defensive for the hairpin. Routus going to try and set up a switchback. Very, very difficult to do. It is a fairly long radius and slow hairpin. You sort of need a little bit more of the corner to work with there. It's right on the exit there. Turn 12. Both of them smashing their curves at the chicane. I'd imagine they've both picked up track cuts for that. Spinners doing all he can just to hold on. Scarcieto setting a personal best on that last lap, as did Hill. Scarcieto looking to try and catch up to the back of the Gutterson Secluna battle. Looks like Gutterson's made a mistake because he's dropped behind Hum now. Looks like Secluna's he's actually driven away from these guys. So Secluna on that last lap at 23.8. So 24.6 on that last lap for Hum and a 25.5 for Gutterson. So Gutterson falling back now. There's Raudos, Spinos, very, very wide. So he's backed up his braking for the hairpin. So it does look to be the quicker of the 2 drivers. Back to what I was saying, Scarcetto will be hoping that Gutterson continues his sort of drop of pace at the moment, and he can continue his own pace, and he may be able to sneak in a top 10. He's going to have to be a second a lap faster for the remainder of the race, or hope for a spin. As French has dropped down a couple of spots there, so it looks like he's made a mistake somewhere. Gutterson 26.6. What does Scarcetto do on this lap? It's about to cross the line. 24.7. So again, a couple of seconds faster. He's going to need to do that for the next few laps to give himself an opportunity of a top 10 here in the Scandia Ford Mustang. Made a mistake. 25.6 for him compared to a 24.8 on that last lap. And Reed and Cotter very, very close together now as well. So Reed must have made a mistake because 26.5, or perhaps some lap traffic, has bought him on that last lap, because he was a good couple of seconds slower than Cotter on that last lap. Yeah, almost 3 seconds. 2.5 seconds slower, so now we've got a nice juicy battle for P2, juicy battle for P8, maybe even a battle for P6 as well, although it looks like Rowder has dropped a little bit of time. Also got Delaney and Thornton quite close together as well, so nice couple of battles in the top 10. Unfortunately, all of them are a little bit spread out, and Munro's 10 seconds down the road, not a battle for the lead, but he's been faultless so far. Seconds clear. Very, very consistently. Only times really that he's got time has been due to that traffic. He's not made a mistake. It's not one that we've seen. So he's been doing 23.5 on that lap. Cotter only about half a tenth faster. Virtually nothing. We've still got many battles over the years. Certainly past it already. There's a car off the road there. One of the Caltex Words cars. Again, just looking at that battle for the final spot in the top 10 there. Another couple of seconds faster than Guttison. Still needs to keep those good lap times coming. So a little bit of a slide there for Reed. That's got it to edge a little bit closer. It's not close enough to get a move done. Again, you can hear the car going quite there on the exit is Munro, the race leader. So M is picking up a drive through for track cuts. That'll mainly be the first chicane, the center chicane. A little bit of pump smoke for a slight lock up. Sideways on the exit there. Toughest corners in Australian motorsport here. Turn 8 in Adelaide. A lot of risk and reward here. You don't want to get it wrong because it will be a very expensive wreck. Time on that lap. It's only able to match really on that last lap, so not ideal. It's got to get back into the 24s. It caught him into the pits again, and looks like he's pitting for perhaps damage or tyres, but disaster for him. A little bit further back down, he's still just holding off Thornton. Thornton will be kicking himself about his strategy, or perhaps a mistake that he's made, because he was running in P2 before before the pit stop sequences. It's a car off there. So it's Starrett again. Just have a look. Yeah, that's him in the 555 machine. And a little bit further back, Spinos still holding on to P6. If he and Rowder have been inseparable the last 10 or so laps. Garciero again back in the 24s, pulled the second back on Guttison. He's got to find a little bit of extra time and I hope for another mistake. Down in 22nd, Paul doing his fastest lap of the race with a handful of laps to go. But the big battle at the moment is for a runner-up spot, P2. He's doing a good job holding on, but a big lock-up at the final corner. Able to get around the corner, but it certainly cost him a bit of time with a big slide. Dakota on the exit isn't going to help his cause either. So both drivers just struggling perhaps a little bit with their tyres at this stage. Dakota now right behind Reed, another lock up. Black Zippy Commodore. Both teammates, but both in vastly different liveries. So I think their teammates got Sabre on the side. Again, but not quite close enough for a move. Looks like he's going to try and set it up and sure he can get the job done. Coming out to a bit of lap traffic, that's Strintzos front. And well, the 92 car getting out of the way, so that makes it easy. Or easier. And the Capitals, Garciero, Guttison. It's 4 seconds now, and Munro another drive. Oh, sorry, no, that was drive to take it. Not another drive through, my mistake. Oh, a bit of a slide in the first chicane for Reed. Oh, another lock up there. He's struggling at the moment, he's right on the edge of adhesion here, but that's Cotter just grazing the wall on the exit of turn 6. It's going to be about this run through turn 8 now. Reed just edging it a little bit. Cotter couldn't quite get the nose in as well as he would have wanted, but he's still close. Delaney and Thornton separated by half a second as well. And Delaney a little bit wide there. So Thornton in the last couple of laps has closed that gap up between the two. Cotter 24.7 on the last lap compared to a 24.1. And so we've got Spinos and Rowder very close together as well. It's all coming to a head here with a couple of laps to go. I've actually got Guttison, Scarcietto close together, and there's Richards closing in as well. Oh, and that's Scarcietto. No, that's not Scarcietto. That's Richards into the fence big time. And I'd assume that'll be a bit of damage on that thing. So spot fires everywhere at the moment. Know where to look. Sounds like we want a car off there at turn 4. Yep, and we do, and it's out. So there's a red car. still these positions here in the top 10, pretty much all of them outside of Munro, barring a mistake, up for grabs here. Could all change, and it's all reset, so that is a bit odd. Perhaps there was only 36 or so laps, but yeah, okay. Sudden end to this one. So I guess that confirms the results, so just bear with me for one moment here. So that will mean that Munro is the race winner, followed by Reed, Cotter, Delaney, and then Thornton, Spinoz, Aroudis, Cicluna, Hum, and then Guttison rounding out the top 10. So, bit of a shame there. Was going to be a very fascinating final couple laps there, but yeah, some kind of glitch with the timing robbing us of that finish. But then we had in P11 Scarcieto, Richards in 12th, Keane in 13th, followed by Munro M in 14th, Webster 15th, French in 16th, Hill 17th, Corsom in 18th, followed by Nichols and Shasana in 20th, followed by Poole, Ferguson, Nivorous, Strintzos, and then we have Rath, Starrett, Meredith, and Walter, who I believe all were retirements from this one. So, well, we'll just take a short break, but race 2 will be happening in a few minutes' time. See you then. Alright, and welcome back to the AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship from Adelaide. Still no word on the issue that forced the race to finish a lap early, but or 2 laps early. But back driver's currently in a short qualifying session, but it's just to give the admins time to sort out the reverse grid. So. That will be taking place shortly. There's only 20 seconds left for this short qualifying session, which is in essence just a warm-up session for the drivers to make some final changes, which of course has once again been topped by Munro, 122.5 in this little warm-up session. There's a couple of tenths ahead of Reed and Cicluna, who's currently in third place, with actually Scarcietto has actually just jumped up into third place. We'll be hoping to set some of those times in the upcoming race, no doubt. But time has expired, and now we wait for this to tick over. Hopefully the grid will all be set and will be up and running for the reverse grid race and race 2. Where Munro took out race 1, which means he'll start from the back of the field for race 2. And with some of the guys in front of him, mate, it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk like race 1 seemed to be for him. Only really ever dropped time to the cars behind him due to some minor traffic issues. So certainly will be very, very interesting to see how he handles being amongst a crowd of cars, which he will be certainly in the first few laps of this one at the least. But we're just waiting for a number of drivers to finish up and head back to the pits. And there we go. It looks like it is just ticked over, and we're just in the cool down now. So probably about 6-7 minutes away for the race start. So just having a look at some of the settings here for the server. So tyre wear rate is at 100, fuel wear. Oh, sorry, the fuel burn rate at 130 and damage only at 50. So some people with their grazers at old turn 8 can and other obviously barriers around the circuit that can count their lucky stars that it wasn't at 100%. Would have had a few more retirements and bent steering arms and obviously wheels missing and the like throughout the last race, because we did see a bit of cars scraping up and hitting the wall, but only 50%. You saw most of the field able to bring it home, which is good to see. We did have quite a number of battles forming at the back end of race 1. Unfortunately, with the race ending a couple laps earlier, they did ruin what would have been, I reckon, a fantastic finish with multiple positions still up for grabs there. Hopefully, we can have some of those continue throughout race 2 with the reverse grid race. We certainly will see some overtaking. We may see some strategy from some of the faster drivers, perhaps taking a punt, pitting very, very early to avoid all the traffic, and then being out in clear air, and and once all the pit stops are through and done and dusted, they'll find themselves out in front. But then, of course, they'll have to contend with some worn-out tyres at the back end of the race, or perhaps they may even take a chance on a two-stop strategy by pitting early. Once everybody in front of them pits at the midpoint of the race, you may see them then come in again, so they have tyres to fight with, because the pit stop sequence at this circuit, provided you don't do a Delaney and lock it up, or a David Coulthard lock it up on the pit entry and fence it, or get stuck missing the pit entry a little bit and having to 3-point turn it to get it into the pits. It is a fairly quick pit stop sequence here, with the AC pit stops being pretty quick, as well as the pit lane speed limit being 80 kilometers per hour. So it may be a viable strategy for some guys to underfuel it. I don't know if fuel makes too much of an issue around here, but perhaps underfuel it a little bit be a little bit riskier with the tyres and just two-stop it. And it may pay dividends for whether, for guys that are a little bit faster, or perhaps if you're a little bit heavier on your tyres, but you do have some really good pace, might be a really good idea to attempt that two-stop. So that will be something that may come about in the next race with some of the faster guys, of course, well, all the faster guys starting at the back of the field. They're going to have to contend with some slower guys, particularly in the early running of this race. It's also a great opportunity, though, for guys in that mid-pack that do have that little bit of extra pace. Have seen this in other series, guys in the midfield that do have that bit of extra pace, starting in the middle part of the pack, or perhaps, they've had a poor first race, so they start towards the front end of the field, and they end up, getting a clean getaway, making up their way through to the lead, and able to build a lead early on in the race. So that could be something that could spring a surprise, but 37 laps is a long time, and we did see some drivers having some big consistency issues. But hopefully we have a cracking race up ahead. Actually, scrap that. Doesn't look like it is actually a reverse grid race, so my mistake. I was told beforehand it was, but perhaps I read something a little bit wrong. Looks like Cotter will start from pole position here. At least that's what it says so here. But just bear a moment. We'll take a short break, but we'll be back for the intro. And of course, race 2 from Adelaide. Alrighty, and we're back. Less than 30 seconds away from the start here for race 2. Lights will be on very, very shortly. So we're a battle between these guys towards the end of race 1, and it will continue here right at the start for race 2 for the AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship from Adelaide. Race 2. Is go. And it looks like a fairly even start for most runners. One of the Safeway Caltex cars looks like it's actually got a pretty decent start there, trying to split its way through the middle of the field. And now the field through the first chicane. And yellow flags are out. And a bit of that's sprint sauce in the second of the Scandia cars around. Sort of jump start for Starrett. But Cotter holding on to the lead. And Gutterson's actually had a fantastic start. He finds himself in P4. First of the FGXs, and now the field make their way towards turn 8, and a couple cars sliding around down the back of the field there. 2 and 3 wide, not advised into turn 8. And, 3 wide here. It's very risky stuff, but Munro in the end coming out on top. Thornton's been a big loser in this one, and contact between Thornton and Scarcietto. Scarciato doing a really good job not to get completely wiped out. They're going to go 2 and 3 wide here with is that Ferguson sending it at the final corner. So, oh, we've got a spinner at the back. That is Niparis, who has had a shocking start to his season. He was come across a car that rejoined the track dangerously at turn 8 in the first one. Oh, and I've got an accident back here as well. Who was that? That looked like it was, I think Corton was one of the cars involved, as well as Scarciato. He was a little bit higher up as well. I'm just trying to work out who the other driver was. I think it was Hum there. It was the other driver that got caught out in that. So all happening further down the field. They just can't sort themselves out because of that. Look at these massive gaps now between the back end of the midfield and the lower half of the field and the top 10. Oh, and look at it again. They're going 3 and 4 wide, and that's very, very lucky the Super Cheap car didn't collect the mellow yellow car. These guys battling for sheep stations on the opening lap of a 37 lap race. Very, very risky driving again. Hum trying to send it up the inside of Scarciato. They've caught some right in tow. So he's caught him with a dive up the inside of Hum. Hum gives him space. He's going to try the old swisheroo. Cool contact on the exit there. Caught him at a little bit of a slide, which angled him towards Hum. So both getting away with it. So this midfield battle, very, very tightly condensed. Pretty much there's a little bit of a gap between the two Caltex Safeway cars, worse. But Rath really the head of this little queue. And then a little bit further back here, got Nichols ahead of this other one. Nichols was one of the car that almost caused a massive accident down here at the hairpin last lap. Bit of contact in the exit of turn 8. And again, they're going to go 2 and 3 wide. At least they're having a look here. Sheep stations here at the back of the field. Back up at the front though. Cotter in the lead. Fastest lap of the race does belong to Reed in P2 on that last lap of 23.0, about a tenth faster than Cotter. And he has to be quick because he's got the race 1 winner right behind him in Munro. We do know Munro can go a bit quicker, but I think he's just biding his time here. Guttis started to fall back from the front 3, and he's finding himself under a bit of pressure from Delaney in P5. Munro's teammate though, fellow Nissan driver, brother there, Munro, is doing a really good job so far here in race 2 in P6, as is Cicluna. They're kind of out on their own at the moment, as Delaney looks to make a move on Guttison, who's outbroke himself a little bit of a lock-up, and Delaney says thank you very much. I'll take that position into their hairpin. And, well, look at here, a little bit further back. Hum and Poole duking it out. Deep under brakes, he's outbroke himself, and he's always gone around right in front of the two other Mustangs there. Thankfully, no major hits there, and then he's spun it back onto the racing line again. So drivers just a bit careless when they do have these offs here. They're just spinning themselves and putting their cars right in dangerous areas once again, as they're too keen to get going again. And, well, we've had Cotter. He's made a mistake here, or perhaps he was put in the fence, I don't know. But either way, he's dropped a number of positions. Munro now in P2. So, disaster. Disaster for Cotter. he's going to have to work his way back to the front again. He's going to have to hope that Munro and Reed start battling it out here and fall back into the clutches of Gutterson. And Cotter immediately looking to get by Gutterson. They're going to go side by side here. Gutterson not giving him an inch. Munro now looking to join the battle. He's going to try maybe up and under here in the final corner. He's going to try it. A little bit of a lock up. Gutterson gives him the room and Cotter will just get the position, but they're going to be side by side though. It's a bit awkward here. Gutterson holds on for now. That'll be a cut for Munro. Got to watch those. Have seen drivers get pinged already in these races. And oh, that was Reed that looked like he was wide as he cut back to it. Right out sideways over the curb. Munro had nowhere to go. A little bit of contact there. These guys now battling for the race lead. And Delaney, he'll be hoping these guys continue to duke it out and he can join the fray. So, a bit further down the field here. See these guys at the back already a fair way down, and that is Garcietto and Poole. That's awesome. Some car parking down here at turn 4, and that's contact with I work out who that is. Poole and Walter, I believe, but nowhere to really go. Happening here on the back end of the field, and Cotter has lost out to Gutterson here, and then we've had Munro lose it over the curbs here, and oh, that's going to cost him dearly. So right there, doing a really good job for the team. 4X Machine now's lost out to Thornton, who's looking to recover in this one. So nice little train here behind Thornton. He's going to come under threat from Munro. With Ferguson and Keane not too far away. But Meredith here lose a couple positions here. Lost out to Claughton and to Spinos. And then a little bit further back we've got Webster and Routers quite close together. Routers we're looking to get a move on. Fairly solid race one. It's down the field here in this one. So you've got Richards here putting Jazana under pressure. So Energy, Mustang, and Thornton out. So disaster. Ripsol racing driver. If he'll try and get back into the game. The server allows it here. So angry little battle pack here, starting to form up behind Fasana here. Reed still in the lead. But looks like the battling between Reed and Munro stopped a little bit. They've actually been able to just gap Delaney now that they've stopped battling. Gutterson though, he's still doing a good job holding on as Routers looks to make a move on Webster for P13. Not quite close enough though into turn 4. So to annoy Harm, a little bit twitchy on the entry to 8, which is not ideal. He's managed to get through it. over the back. Keep clicking on the wrong thing, my mistake. So we've got Hill here right behind Strinstos, and they've got Nibiris right behind them as well. So his battles up and down the field. And Scarcieto, he has got by Hum there, so perhaps a mistake. We've also had Gisana lose out, so Richards here, who is now sole Repsol racing car in the field. So looking at the time, it looks like Reed's lost a little bit in the first sector here, because he's lost out to both Munro and Delaney by a few tenths. As Guttison continues to hold on to P4. Personal best on that lap for Delaney, third place. Two leaders very, very close together once again as well here. Very, very close together. A little bit of maybe slight contact between the two. Munro looking to get the job done. Reed looking to hold on. Munro looking for the switchback, but lighting up the rears isn't going to help him there. And so it looks like Guttison and Cotter also side by side as well, exchanging positions. 10 laps in, and that thing's starting to heat up here at the front of the field. This is exactly what Delaney wants. It's a gap now. It was 2.7, now or 1.7 one lap later. Oh, and Cotter going for a late dive. Does he pull it up? Oh, I think he is, because he's going to have the inside for the next couple of corners, but he cuts across the nose of Guttison. Not the smartest thing to do on a street circuit. And we've also had Delaney get by Munro, so Munro's had an off here at turn 12, turn 11. Disaster. I wonder if he may just take a chance on entering into the pits here. No, he's going to keep going. I thought maybe pitting a little bit early, getting himself into clear air. He may be able to find some of that time back, but that's cost him dearly now. So just waiting for the timing to update itself, but it looks like he's about 13.5 to 14 seconds away from the race lead now. So he's going to have to find a lot of time here. But if anyone's going to do it, it is him. He's the fastest man around this circuit. He wasn't qualifying, was in race 1. But he's going to have to drive the wheels off that VB Ultima. He wants to get a win here. A little bit further back, his teammate Munro is starting to fall into the clutches of Ferguson and Keane here. Keane having a much better run here in race number 2. As is Ferguson, it has to be said. And what is this? Oh, that is Guttison off the road at the final corner. I wonder if there was a helping hand or not. But either way, Guttison has dropped down a position. He's got Cicluna right behind him as well. Elevates Cotter now up into P3. He'll be looking to get after Delaney. So the leader's now just starting to string out after a number of battles and mistakes. There's still quite a way to go in this one for drivers like Munro to recover. That's it though. Munro looks like he's actually lost a bit of time here. So perhaps that off that he had, he may have picked up a bit of damage, because he's not lapping at the pace that one would expect in clear air here. Certainly would be expecting him to match Reed. Certainly to be in the 23s. Well, his last lap was only a 24.0, which for most people isn't bad, but by his lofty standards, he certainly want to be doing a little bit better. So perhaps at the pit stop may see him a slightly longer stop to fix that damage and to find a bit of extra speed here. We are coming up to that time where we do expect drivers to think about their strategy a little bit, their bars of bias. His teammate in front of him, but he's got angry a couple cars in Webster and Rouders behind him. Also Richards not too far away, and there's contact between Webster and Rouders there, and around goes Meredith. Oh, not Meredith, sorry. Around goes Webster, my mistake. And Webster just gassing up the tyres as he gets going. That's certainly not going to be ideal. And he's actually slowed down there. As Rouders to redress the contact. But that's cost them both a lot of time, and now they're under pressure now from Scarcieto as so French has made his way, and I was going to say Coulson made their way by Chisano there. Again, just looking at the lap times, Munro in the 26s on that last lap, so perhaps made another mistake with that damage really taking its toll here. See what he does this time by 23.7, so perhaps a little bit of traffic was the reason for that. So back into where you'd expect, and he's brought that gap down between himself and the leader back under 16 seconds again, but he's got his work cut out for him. That said though, podium is only 5 seconds down the road. Oh, sorry, a little bit more than that. My mistake. It's about 8 seconds. So we've cut back here, and it's Richards all kinds of sideways out of turn 3. So we are a few laps into the race now. Rear tyres really starting to off the cliff a little bit. Maybe not so much off a cliff, but certainly not in an ideal state. So just trying to get by Meredith just in front of him here. Late dive here. He's going to send it at the hairpin. And, well, that's not an ideal move there because he forced Meredith to take evasive action. So smart driving from Meredith to avoid incident. But I don't think he'd be too pleased with that one. Thankfully, no change of position. And we've got Delaney's around. And that's contact. And, well, that's going to drop him well down. So that is Poole in 23rd. Contact with lap traffic. And disaster for Delaney. And down to P6 he goes. Now it does. Yeah, it looks like everybody has avoided Poole here. He has the 3-point turner to get out, and then behind him, that is Spinoz. They're having a little adventure over the curb onto the grass, and perhaps even into the fence. All happening here on lap 15. Perhaps people should have pitted to, put some fresh tyres on, but looks like they're going to try and go a little bit longer here in race 1. We did see people pit at this point last time, and well, Richards was in the pits, but he's DNF'd here. Hopefully he's able to come back, but disaster for Repsol Racing otherwise. And we've got the first of our leaders in the pits, so Gutterson in the pits. And he's going to look to undercut these guys here. As you can see, very, very quick pit stop. He's going to come out with a bit of traffic around him. So it's not going to be ideal for him. Reed and Cotter out in front. Sakuna now. Final step of the podium, of course, yet to pit. He's got Munro, our race 1 winner, right behind him. And yeah, Munro has gotten on with it last few laps. He has been the quickest man on the circuit last few laps. Quicker than our second and third getters here. And he's up the inside of Cicluna. It gives him space. He will have the inside though. Next couple of corners here. He's going to try and go around the outside. It's a risky move. He's got the job done. So a really good move from Munro, who is in no mood for games at the moment. And a 25.5 for Reed. I wonder if he had a bit of traffic here. A 24.6 for Cotter. Obviously Munro had to get by Cicluna for position here. Interesting to see what that gap is here. There's still a 24.4 despite going around the outside there, so he's quicker than the race leader. It's even quicker by a couple of tenths than Cotter, so he's looking the goods at the moment this late into the stint. And got his teammate here also into the pit lane. I do wonder if Munro would just go a little bit longer here. Wait until everyone else is pitted. That way when he comes out, he should come out in a little bit of clear air here. A bit further back, Gunnison coming under pressure from his teammate Ferguson here. Ferguson though yet to pit. We have Keane in P8. Too far away from Ferguson. It's 5 seconds in front of Spinoz. And then we have Munro, has just exited the pit lane. Rathman, Webster, Scarcetto, followed by French, Cortum and Meredith, who's just had looks like a date with the fence at the first chicane. And Hill looking to get a move done at turn 4, but smartly backs out of it. And well, Meredith himself just struggled to get by. Now race leader in the pits. Formerly our race leader, Cotter, will continue, as will Munro. 24.5 for him, so not an ideal lap for him that time by, but losing out a little bit to Cotter. So perhaps he does have a little bit of damage in that car from that off, but still doing a good job at the moment. But he's got quite a bit of time to find on Reed and Cotter. Remaining 19, possibly 15. We may have that bug happen again here. So race 1 did end a little bit early, so it may happen a little bit. Race may end on lap 36 or 35. If it happens again, hopefully it doesn't. We have a really grandstand finish here, like what was setting up in race number 1. Imagine we'd see Cotter, especially with that traffic right in front of him. Would expect him to come into the pit lane. No, he's going to go around again here. So he wants some good tyres for the end of the race. Now, will Munro? No, Munro is going to go around again as well. Cicluna though, he's into the pits. And Reed, in fact, isn't actually too far behind Munro here. You saw there, it's only about 20 odd seconds for a pit stop, maybe 25 for a pit stop in total. It's Gunnison doing a personal best on that last lap. He's only 9 seconds away from what was the effective race leader in Reed, so he's getting a move on here on these fresh tyres, and he might make this undercut work, at least in the short term. And Munro and Cotter may find themselves under a little bit of pressure when they do decide to pit Cotter here. A lot of traffic in his way. That's Jasana trying to get out of the way. And oh, that's Nichols off the road right in front of him. But that's Hill there in P18. So does he enter the pits this time by? Yes, he does. Probably should have done it a lap ago, especially actually lost a little bit of time to, I do believe he's lost a bit of time to Munro in this one. Munro very hot into the pit and he's missed it! And there's contact! So there we go, driver's just too aggressive on the pit entry and he's going to rejoin right in front of Reed and he's going to have to do another lap. So disaster for Munro, just too aggressive on the pit entry, and that's what happens when you don't practice it under duress. And well, things going from bad to worse for Munro. It did cost him a couple seasons ago. I last did broadcast for what was then AK Racing, and fortunately in this one, his mistakes going to cost him again here. So he's going to have the drive of his life here in the second half of this race. He does have pace in him, but that mistake that may rule out a podium position. Just looking at some other battles here. We have Rath and Spinoz here. I'm not sure if Rath has pitted yet. Same goes for Spinoz too, not sure. And the pit stop sequence we've had, Cicluna ended up well out in front of Delaney as Colton now exits the pits. So Munro this time not as aggressive on pit entry, and there you go, my friend. That's how you get into the pits. You don't come in at 1,000,000 miles an hour. You do have to slow down. There is a corner that you have to navigate that is tighter than the final corner, and into the lane to service his mobile. And where will he drop to? That's the question. So there's Cicluna. Oh, and he's gonna have to get the move done, I reckon. He's going to lose out, so there you go. He didn't make that mistake and be in front of Cicluna and Keane. So he's going to have to do it all over again here. And in the grand scheme of things, it's cost him probably about 8 seconds, I'd say. 7 to 8 seconds. So he's going to need a lot of help here. Remaining 16 laps. But in this pit stop sequence, as we said, Gunnison has been the big winner. Pitted early, he's been able to make these sides work. That said though, he has to go a lot longer, so he's going to have to drive a little bit more conservatively now to the end of the race, just to make sure he's got something to fight with in case Cicluna, Keane, Munro or Delaney end up catching him. As Cicluna now gets by Keane yet to pit. And Gunnison doing personal best on that lap as well, 23.2, so he's still got a bit of pace in that thing. Still some of the closest battles on track. Looks like Garcia here. At least the ones on a lead lap. So Corson and well down the field, 15 and 16 as well, fairly close together as well here. Two Mustangs. Again, Munro having to get by Cicluna here in P4, having a good run. Now, let's see what their lap times are. Yeah, these guys are about a second slower. Cicluna almost 2 seconds slower. And our race leader, Munro, at tenths away. A bit of lag there. So it sorted itself out. Munro looking for a move at turn 4. Not quite close enough. Just trying to distract Secluder here. Through turn 5. Can get a sneaky move here. Done at turn 6 if you get a good exit. Car in front isn't paying attention to his mirrors. Looks like Munro going to try and set a move up into turn number 9. Not going to be close enough to get side by side with turn 8. Apex a little bit. Munro shutting the nose. Has he got the job done? Can he pull it up? He can pull it up. Sakuna will hold on around the outside. Go racing once again. Got Delaney not too far away either. He's only 2.5 seconds, almost 3 seconds away. These guys about will be closing in as Cotter. Fastest lap of the race, 22.6. And just 1.3 seconds faster than Reed on that last lap. So still not giving up as Munro almost into the back of Secluder there. I think just a little bit caught out when he was braking for the final corner. But thankfully, no major contact. Yeah, much faster finish again from Munro. Surely should get the job done. Secluder's going to have to go defensive here. And now Munro going to try to switch back. He's got nowhere to go here. Parking his car awkwardly in the middle before moving over turn 5. Delaney's enjoying this, he's closing in on these guys while this is going on. So got Spinoz right on the back of Ferguson as well here. A little bit further down. Side by side through 4. Ferguson holds on. You're not really going to get around the outside there. Run off there for Ferguson. So what about sending it up the inside there? Not quite close enough though. And we've had Scarcietto once again as Cotter another fastest lap of the race, another 9/10 of a second. He's hard charging at the back end of this race. 5.4 seconds between himself and Reed. Bit of a lock up for Ferguson, but he's able to pull it up. Up the road though, once again, all kinds of sideways for Secluder, and around the outside goes Munro. He'll get that job done, and now he's got to look out for Delaney right behind him. 2011 trading post. Sorry, that's the Orcon Steel VR car. Further back once again, Ferguson and Spinoz. Oh, big lock up for Spinoz. He's lucky to not have major contact with the wall. He's in fact lucky just to even make the corner the way he did there. Very easy to end up down the escape road, so he lives to fight another day. And he hasn't lost too much time either. There's was it Delaney? Yes, Delaney's got by Secluder. And well, Cotter has cooled down a little bit, actually losing a tenth on that last lap to Reed. Battles on track at the moment, Delaney and Secluder. And just getting the job done. Well, that's a lot of curve, I reckon. Picked up the curve strike for that. And Secluder may have as well, as these guys start to approach a bit of traffic. And that is one of the cars off. It's the Super Cheap car. It's Lee Nichols. Yeah, Lee the Super Cheap car. So he's had a bit of a nightmare in this one. So we'll be counting down that checkered flag. The traffic there has cost Munro a bit of time. He had actually got the gap under 24 seconds between himself and the race leader, that he's blown out now to 24.7. Oh, and he's very aggressive through 8, and he's in the fence, as is Munro. And they're pushing hard. And oh no, that's Ferguson has gone around in the Terratech machine. And, well, it's dropped him well behind Spinoz now. It's got a bit of a gap though to Scarcietto in 11th. Once again, Scarcietto finds himself with 10 laps to go, about 9 seconds to the top 10. So he'll be pushing hard to try and get that done. And that spin may have brought about some damage for Ferguson, and it certainly won't be ideal for his rear tyres. Now, do remember, he was one of the early drivers to pit, so he will struggle towards the back end of this race. So it will be tough these next few laps. Scarcietto will be on the reworked tyres, of course. So we'll come back to Delaney. It's right behind Munro, so due to mistakes, damage, or perhaps a little bit of lap traffic, the gap between Munro and Delaney's come right down after Munro was able to stretch it away. So perhaps that scrape with them all in the last lap, a bit more than just superficial, and it's actually given him a bit of damage here. Once again, pushing hard, 22.9, a couple tenths faster than Reed up ahead, but he needs to almost enter into the 21 range in qualifying pace if he wants to close down Reed in P1. Sakuna will wobble on the exit of the final corner. That's going to drop him just out of touch from these guys here. Again, sorry, a little bit of internet lag there. Oh, that's a big slide from the Mobile 1 car. Around it goes, and thankfully avoids all the front runners. It's a bit of a disaster for Nibris. So we've got battle on track here. Raff, Hill, Corton not too far away either. They've got the race leader between them come through to lap him. So maybe Cotter will be hoping he could use his traffic as a bit of a pick and to claw a bit of that time back. 23.7 for Reed, 22.7 for Cotter, so that is exactly what Cotter wants. Problem is though, he will have to go through this traffic on his own. And there's Reed getting by Hill, who's in 14th. And Hill under attack from Corton. Now Corton was trying to use Reed as a ways to get by, but not quite close enough to make that work. Sakuna in 6th place there, 6.8 personal best. And it's about a second away from Delaney there. And the gap between first and second with this traffic here, 3.2 seconds as Hill under attack from Cortum. Goes defensive, but he's outbroke himself with that lockup. Cortum's going to try and get him, but he's going to have to go the long way here. As Cotter goes around the long way as well. So the gap has come down. Cortum doing the smart thing. He's getting right out of it here. So an experienced driver himself. He's always right on the grass. Cotter also on the grass, and he's just able to pull it up. That's cost him a few tenths. Made up quite a bit of ground, but that mistake's going to cost him there. Could have been a 20. I say a 23. A low 23, but instead it's just a 23.5 on that one. Gap still 3.1 seconds. So he can still almost read under a bit of pressure, and off goes the Caltex car. And that makes things easy for Cotter. And now Raff is the leader of this little 3-car battle pack, and well, he's almost might be the leader again as Hill lets Cotter go by. Raff trying to take advantage. Cortum probably hoping these two just a little bit of contact, run each other wide, and he can just take both positions here. But Cotter out of all that, the big winner, didn't lose too much time. Gap 2.5 seconds. So Rath has a bit of a look on Hill there. This is the closest battle on track. As I say that though, it looks like a change of positions between Cicluna and Delaney, so perhaps a mistake from Delaney has allowed Cicluna to go by. In fact, I'd hazard a guess, because on the last lap, Delaney was 4/10 faster and he was probably over a second away. And now he's behind, so he's made a mistake. Big slide coming out of the hairpin. And so Hill's made a mistake, so he's now at the back of that queue. Rath has lost out to Gortum, and well, there it is, Gortum, the big winner there. And well, they've got a couple cars off here, turn 4, that's Webster. And I'm trying to think who the other driver is there. That is Rath's teammate, obviously that's Meredith, so a shame there. And change of position for French and Hum here as well, all battling. And Hill and Rath also caught out in this melee here. Cars all over the place. So at the front gap now under 2 seconds. So our teammates, will there be team orders or will they duke it out? And battle for the win here. Sounds like a little bit of traffic, a little bit further ahead for our leaders. But that gap now under 2 seconds. Let's see a grandstand finish here. Gortum also, he's right behind Webster, so he's looking to pick up as many positions as he can get. And Webster obviously caught up in that incident on that last lap. And we've got Webster drive through, so well, it's not going to matter now. Exploited the first chicane too much, but he's also got a helping hand from Gortum at turn 4 there. And Hill's going to take the both of them, so Hill a big winner in that one. And well, the gap at the front's also come down to under a second, so Reed must have made a mistake somewhere. Now, will they battle or will there be team orders? Here's the question. You're 12 seconds clear of, or 13 seconds clear of Gutterson, who's had a really good run here in race 2. Wanderer has brought the gap down between himself and the leaders, but those mistakes that he made cost him dearly. So we'll have to be content with 4th place in this one. Lock up for Cotter. He's pushing once again. Another mistake at that final corner, just over driving it a little bit, and that's going to allow Reed just a little bit of extra breathing room here. So 24.0, not ideal. 23.6, a little bit better, but Cotter would have been hoping for better once again. Dash over the curve at the centre chicane, and once again Delaney has got by Cicluna, so back up into P5. We've had a seemingly all race long here, these two. Also Munro and Keane duking it out as Cicluna very wide. He's gassed it up on the grass. He's lucky to keep that one going and not end up in the fence. Here. He's got Keane right behind him. So a couple of lap cars, and Delaney a drive through for cutting. Oh, and that's Cicluna into the fence hard. That is a big hit, and unfortunately that's left Chisana nowhere to go. So big disasters here right at the end of this race. And in fact that crash may help Delaney. If Cicluna has any kind of damage, Delaney may be able to still salvage P5 if Cicluna is hobbled at the back end of this race. At the front though, 2 leaders, the gap under half a second. all to play for with a couple laps to go. Hopefully we don't have another issue with the race ending a lap early. The server just ending it and sending everyone back to the pits here. So here it is, Reed versus Cotter, lap 34 of 37. As Delaney serves his drive through. Reed and Cotter looking the faster of the two drivers here, two teammates. In fact, Delaney has stayed out in front. So that big accident costing Secunda dearly. Got P5, but he's not going to get that now. Apparently another mistake from Delaney. The heat is on here at the front. So Reed lighting up the rears there. Got it this time, able to turn in nicely for the final corner. Big short shift. Doesn't want to light up the rears on the exit. 24-2, so both drivers on that lap. What you find, being so close to the car in front, is that your braking points and turn-in points do get blocked off a little bit. So that's why you'll see drivers that normally that may be a little bit quicker at a point than the car in front, just sort of match the car in front of them instead of being, putting them under pressure. As Reed locks up there into turn 5 and locks up again into turn 6. They've got all that traffic up ahead of them. Oh, and it's one of the... Who is that? That is Meredith in 22nd, having an absolute nightmare. Coming up to Scarcietto, who has got himself into the top 10 in this one, with Ferguson battling as well. So that's going to be awkward for our race leaders once they come across them here. They sort of squirm under braking for the hairpin. Cotter just trying to set up a good exit. Oh, that's not going to help. Big slide. And again, he's on the grass. He's going to struggle to pull it up, but he's done a good job. And out of the final corner go our leaders to start lap 36. Pits are closed. Hopefully the game doesn't do what it did last time around, and we do have another couple of laps here. And I reckon that was a curb strike there for Cotter, right out sideways at turn 3, so he's pushing that thing as hard as he can, but overheating and revving up the rears like that aren't going to help his cause. And once again, very flamboyant out of the corners here. He's pushing hard. But perhaps he just needs to be a bit solid, and a drive through for Gutterson. Munro had closed the gap between themselves to 4 seconds, and perhaps he's just overdriven it. And that will drop him down at least one spot. He should probably end up ahead of Delaney, but it's going to cost him a podium. So disaster for Gutterson in P3, who'd driven a fantastic race, but he's blown it right at death. Also got a nice battle between Munro Keane and Spinoz as well. They're all fairly close together as well, with Spinoz being the fastest of the 3. So here we go. Leaders now starting to close up to the back of Ferguson and Scarcietto here. Now to begin the final lap of the race. Can Cotter mount a challenge? Will Reed hold on here? The final lap of the second race here from Adelaide. The AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship. Will Ferguson and Scarcietto play a role here? So Scarcietto's gotten away from Ferguson, and also got Gutterson leaving the pit, serving his penalty, and he will still, well, he'll come out in 4th place. Disaster for him. Good for Munro and his championship hopes to recover back onto the podium. Ferguson smartly getting out of the way of the leaders. But looks like Reed will hold on. Cotter very close to the wall on the exit of turn 8. But Reed, this traffic or a mistake hinders him. He should hold on from here. Very, very close between the two teammates. And that's a little bit of internet lag there. And Munro, a drive through for cutting on the last lap of the race. Disaster for him. And we've got one of the cars that's gone around at the hairpin there. But it will be a 1-2 for Sabre here. Reed will take the win. Cotter will take second place. And they are comfortably ahead of Munro. In third here. He'll be ruining the mistakes he made in this one, that's for sure. So he could have been a part of that battle for the win. Gutterson, he'll be gutted for one too many track cuts and having to serve a drive-through on the final lap there, but still a very solid P4 for him in the older generation FGX. Delaney had an eventual race of his own as well, and he'll come home in P5. Cicluna as well. Solid job from him in P6, but he'll still be ruining the mistakes that he made. And well, Munro's continued on despite his drive-through. It is the final lap, so I do wonder if that will DQ him or anything like that. 20 seconds added to his time. Well, there you go. Keane will finish in 7th then, so he'll get elevated, but I'll continue on from what is on my screen. Spinoz in 9th. Garcieto will finish in 10th and get that top 10, so great effort from him. Didn't have the chance in race 1 to close down the gap at the end, but in this one he will claim P10, so good drive from him in the end of the Scandia Ford Mustang. And Ferguson will cross the line in P11. And well, I don't know what he may be the last of the cars who hasn't crossed the line yet, but he's doing doughies. He hasn't actually technically crossed the finish line yet. So he's just playing around here. Looks like all other drivers here have crossed the line. But yeah, Ferguson, because he hasn't crossed the line yet, still isn't a classified finisher. But Hill in 12th place in the end was the winner of the battle between himself, Rath and Cortum. Webster in 15th, followed by French, Hum, Shasana in 18th, Niveris in 19th. He'll be looking forward to the next round, that's for sure. Poole, followed by Nichols and Meredith, who had an absolute nightmare in race 2 compared to race 1. And then, of course, we have Raudis, Strinsos, Richards, Thornton, Walter, and Starrett as the retirements here in race 2. Alright, well, that will do it for round 1 of the AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship. See, this is probably going to be, I'm not sure if it'll be a one-off or if I'll have to fill in again in the future. But check out Go Racing Promotions, I believe, for the other races that will be broadcasted for the AK Gaming Supercar, as well as other series that AK Gaming do provide. Anyway, from myself, Lewis Wedding, I hope you've enjoyed tonight's broadcast of the AK Gaming V8 Supercar Championship. You'll see me next time with Auto Mobility.